Hello, my friends. Can I ask you a simple question? When was the last time you really listened to English? Not while checking your phone, not while doing other work, not as background noise. I mean sitting down, giving your full attention, and listening carefully to every word. Many English learners hear English every day, but very few people truly practice listening. There is a big difference between hearing English and listening to English. Hearing happens without much effort, but listening is a skill that needs practice. If you want to speak English well, you must first learn to listen carefully. Good listening helps you understand pronunciation, rhythm, and natural speech. That is why strong listening skills often lead to better speaking, even more than studying grammar alone. Here is something that may surprise you. Listening is not a passive skill. It is an active skill that needs practice. In school, many of us sat quietly while the teacher spoke. We heard the words, but we were not really training our listening. Real listening is different. Your brain is working all the time. It is trying to understand words, guess the meaning, connect ideas, and follow the speaker from beginning to end. That is why listening is like exercise for your brain. The more you practice it with focus, the stronger it becomes. But just like any other skill, you need the right method and regular practice. The good news is that you do not need hours every day. Just 15 minutes of careful listening can make a big difference. In this video, I will show you a simple method that you can use every day to improve your English listening step by step. Before we begin, let me tell you about a student named Rohan. He had been learning English for almost 4 years. He knew many English words, but whenever he had a real conversation in English, he often had to ask people to repeat what they said. Sometimes once, sometimes 2 or 3 times, and sometimes even more. Each time it happened, he felt a little embarrassed because he realized he already knew the words. He just could not recognize them when people spoke naturally. The problem was not his vocabulary. It was his listening. His ears were not yet trained to understand English at a natural speed where words connect and flow together. This is something many English learners experience, and it is completely normal. The good news is that listening is a skill you can train. With the right practice and a little patience every day, your ears become better at recognizing English sounds, and real conversations become much easier to understand. There is a simple reason why real English sounds so different from the English you hear in textbooks. It is because people speak faster, and their words connect naturally. In many textbook recordings, every word is spoken slowly and clearly, like this. I am going to the market. But in everyday conversation, those same words flow together. Native speakers join sounds, shorten some words, and speak with a natural rhythm. If you have ever felt that real English sounds like a completely different language, don't worry. It does not mean your English is weak. It simply means your ears have not had enough practice. Listening is a skill that needs daily training, just like speaking. The more you listen to real conversations, the more your ears will learn to recognize connected speech. Little by little, the fast English that once sounded confusing will begin to sound clear, familiar, and easy to understand. Now I want to share some useful listening tips. Here is your first listening tip, and it may change the way you think about listening practice. Stop judging your success by how much you understand. Instead, pay attention to how much your brain is working. If you understand everything easily, your brain is staying in its comfort zone. But if you understand only part of what you hear and have to think carefully about the rest, your brain is learning something new. Do not be afraid if listening feels a little difficult. That does not mean you are failing. It means you are growing. A little struggle is a normal part of learning any new skill. So during your daily listening practice, accept that you will not understand every word. Focus, keep listening, and let your brain do the work. Just 15 minutes of patient, focused listening every day can make your understanding stronger, your confidence higher, and real English much easier to follow over time. Now let me show you a simple 15-minute listening routine that you can follow every day. It is easy to remember and very effective. During the first 5 minutes, listen to a short English audio or video one time, from beginning to end. Do not pause it. Do not go back. Do not worry if you miss some words. Just keep listening until it finishes. The purpose of the first listening is not to understand every word. It is to help your ears become familiar with natural English. Listen to the speaker's voice, the rhythm, the pronunciation, and the overall meaning. At first, some parts may sound unclear, and that is completely normal. Just like your eyes slowly adjust when you enter a dark room, your ears also need a little time to adjust to natural English. The more often you do this, the easier it becomes to recognize words and understand spoken English. Now move to the second 5 minutes. Listen to the same audio again. This time you can pause whenever you miss an important word or sentence. Go back about 10 seconds and listen to that part one more time. Do not try to memorize it. Your goal is simply to give your ears another chance to hear what they missed the first time. As you listen again, notice what made that part difficult. Was the speaker talking too fast? Did two words connect together? Was there a new sound or pronunciation that you did not recognize? Do not stop to use a dictionary yet. Just listen carefully. Replay the difficult part once or twice, and then continue. This simple habit trains your ears to recognize natural English more quickly. Over time, the parts that once needed a second listen will become easier to understand the first time you hear them. Now it's time for the final 5 minutes. Listen to the same audio one more time, from beginning to end, without pausing or rewinding. This time, relax and pay attention to how much more you can understand. You may notice that words which sounded unclear before are now easier to recognize. Sentences that seemed too fast during the first listening may now sound slower and more natural. This is a sign that your brain is learning. That is the complete 15-minute listening method. Listen once without stopping. Listen again and replay only the difficult parts. Then listen one final time, from beginning to end. It is a simple routine that anyone can follow every day. You do not need long hours of study. Just one short audio, 3 careful listens, and 15 focused minutes. If you practice this consistently, your listening skills will improve step by step, and understanding real English will become easier than you imagined. Let me tell you what happened when Rohan tried this listening method for the first time. One evening after work, he found a short 2-minute English conversation on YouTube. It was a simple conversation about 2 people talking about their daily routine. During the first listen, he understood only about half of what they were saying. During the second listen, he paused and replayed the difficult parts, and he understood much more. After finishing, Rohan smiled and said something interesting. He felt as if the speakers had suddenly started talking more slowly, but the audio had not changed at all. The speakers were using the same speed as before. The real change happened inside his ears and his brain. They had already become more familiar with the sounds, the rhythm, and the words. That small improvement gave him confidence and made him excited to practice again the next day. This is how real listening skills grow. Now let's talk about choosing the right audio for your listening practice. This is more important than many people think. Do not choose something that is too easy, but do not choose something that is too difficult either. The best audio is one where you understand about 50 to 70% the first time you listen. That level is challenging enough to help you improve, but not so difficult that you feel lost. If you understand every word on the first listen, your brain is not being challenged very much. But if you understand almost nothing, you may become frustrated and stop enjoying the practice. Try to find audio that sits between these two levels. It should make you think, pay attention, and listen carefully while still allowing you to follow the main ideas. This is the best level for learning because it helps your listening skills grow little by little, one practice session at a time. Now let me help you to choose the right kind of English to listen. The best listening practice depends on your current level. If English still feels difficult, begin with slow and clear English. Choose simple stories, beginner English podcasts, easy English YouTube channels, or educational videos where the speaker talks slowly and clearly. Your goal is to build confidence while training your ears to recognize English sounds. If you can understand basic English but have problem with natural speed, start listening to short interviews, simple daily vlogs, and travel videos. If you are at an intermediate level, try podcasts under 5 minutes, short documentaries, or casual conversations between two people. The topic is not the most important thing. What matters is choosing audio that matches your level and keeps you interested. When the content is enjoyable, you are much more likely to practice every day. Something interesting happened to Rohan after 2 weeks of practicing this listening method every day. One day, he was watching a video on his phone. He was not trying to study English, but as he watched, he noticed that he was understanding much more than before. Sentences that once sounded too fast were now becoming clear the first time he heard them. Out of curiosity, he played one part again. Not because he had missed it, but because he was surprised that he had understood it so easily. That is how real listening progress usually happens. It is not a sudden, dramatic moment. It is a small and quiet change that you notice one day without expecting it. Little by little, your ears become faster at recognizing English sounds, and your brain no longer has to work as hard to understand them. This is the result of patient daily practice. One day, you simply realize that English sounds clearer than it did before. And that is a wonderful sign that your listening skills are growing. Here is your second listening tip, and it can make a big difference. Do not listen to an audio only once and then move on. Listen to the same audio for several days in a row. Many learners always look for new videos, new podcasts, and new lessons. But listening to the same English again and again helps your ears notice things that you missed before. The first time, you may only understand the main idea. The second time, you begin to hear more words and short phrases. By the third or fourth time, you start noticing pronunciation, connected speech, rhythm, and the natural way the speaker talks. Every time you listen, your understanding becomes deeper. Do not think that repeating the same audio is boring. It is one of the most effective ways to train your ears. Real improvement comes from understanding the same English more clearly, not from listening to hundreds of different recordings only once. Now let me give you a simple exercise that connects your listening practice with your speaking practice. After you finish your 15-minute listening session, choose one sentence from the audio. It can be a sentence you liked, a sentence you remembered, or one that was a little difficult to understand. Write the sentence down, then listen to it one more time. Now say the same sentence out loud exactly as the speaker says it. Try to copy the pronunciation, the rhythm, the speed, and the way the speaker's voice goes up and down. Do not say it your own way. Try to sound as close to the speaker as possible. This is called shadowing, and it is one of the best ways to improve both listening and speaking at the same time. In just 1 extra minute, your ears teach your mouth how natural English sounds, and your mouth helps your brain remember what your ears have just learned. Before we continue, I want to talk about something honestly. Many of you might be thinking, 15 minutes sounds easy, but my day is already so busy. That is completely understandable. Work, school, family, and other responsibilities can make even a short practice session feel difficult. And sometimes your phone or other distractions make it even easier to put English practice off until tomorrow. But here is something important to remember. You do not need the perfect time or the perfect place to improve your English. You can practice while sitting on a bus, during your lunch break, while waiting for someone, or before going to bed. What matters most is not where you practice, it is that you practice. 15 focused minutes every day will help you much more than waiting for a perfect 2-hour study session that never happens. Small, consistent practice is what builds real listening skills, one day at a time. Now let's talk about the difference between active listening and passive listening. Understanding this difference can completely change the way you practice English. Passive listening happens when English is playing in the background while you are cooking, cleaning, traveling, or scrolling through your phone. Your ears hear the sounds, but your attention is somewhere else. Although English is playing, your brain is not fully working to understand it. Active listening is very different. During active listening, you give your full attention to what you are hearing. You try to understand the meaning, notice the word, and follow the speaker from beginning to end. Your brain is learning. That is why 15 minutes of active listening every day is far more valuable than 3 hours of English playing in the background. Passive listening can help you become familiar with English sounds, but active listening is what truly improves your listening skills. Here is your third listening tip. When you hear a word or phrase that sounds strange or confusing, do not ignore it. Write it down exactly as you heard it. Do not worry if you spell it incorrectly or if you are not sure what it is. Simply write what your ears think they heard. Then play that part again and listen carefully. Very often you will discover that the speaker was using connected speech. For example, wanna is want to, gonna is going to, didja is did you, and lemme is let me. This simple exercise teaches your ears to recognize how English is really spoken in everyday conversations. Instead of expecting every word to sound like a textbook recording, your ears slowly become familiar with natural English. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes to understand real speakers without feeling confused. Around the 3rd week of his listening practice, Rohan shared something that completely changed the way he learned English. He said, "I always watched English videos with subtitles and thought my listening was good. But when I turned the subtitles off, I realized I was reading more than I was listening. My eyes were doing all the work, while my ears were hardly practicing at all." That simple discovery helped him understand why real conversations still felt difficult. After that, Rohan changed his routine. He did not stop using subtitles completely. Instead, he used them more wisely. First, he listened without subtitles and tried to understand as much as he could. Then, if he needed help, he turned the subtitles on to check what he had missed. Little by little, he started watching short parts without subtitles, giving his ears more responsibility each day. Over time, his listening became stronger because he was training his ears. Here is your 4th listening tip. Use subtitles as a learning tool, not as something you depend on all the time. Subtitles are helpful, but your goal is to train your ears to understand English on their own. The best way to do this is to reduce your dependence on subtitles little by little. Try this simple method. First, watch a short video with subtitles turned on, so you can clearly understand the content. Then watch the same video again with the subtitles turned off. Because you already know the topic, your ears can focus on recognizing the words and sounds instead of trying to understand everything at once. This is not cheating. It is a smart way to learn. As you repeat this process over the next few weeks, you will notice that you need subtitles less and less. Not because you are forcing yourself to stop using them, but because your listening skills are naturally becoming stronger. Now let me introduce you to another important listening skill that many English learners never practice. It is called emotional listening. Most people focus only on understanding the words, but in real conversations, words are only part of the message. The speaker's tone of voice, speaking speed, pauses, and emotions also tell you a lot about what they really mean. For example, the same sentence can have a different meaning depending on how it is spoken. A fast voice may show excitement or urgency. A slow voice may sound thoughtful or serious. A rising voice at the end of a sentence can show uncertainty or a question. A short pause before an important word can make that word stand out. When you learn to notice these small signals, you stop listening only to the words and begin understanding the speaker's real feelings and intentions. This is what helps you follow natural English conversations more easily and communicate with greater confidence. Here is a simple emotional listening exercise you can try today. Choose any short English video. About 5 minutes is enough. First, watch it normally and focus on understanding the meaning. Then play the same video again and listen only to the speaker's voice. Do not give attention to the pictures. Give all of your attention to the sound. As you listen, notice how the speaker's voice changes. Where do they speak faster? Where do they slow down? Which words do they say more strongly? Where does their voice become higher or lower? Where do they pause before continuing? These small details carry emotion and meaning that words alone cannot show. When you practice listening this way, your ears become more sensitive to natural English. Over time, you will not only understand what people are saying, but also how they are saying it and what they truly mean. This is an important step toward understanding real English conversations with confidence. There is something important I want you to understand about improving your listening skills. Many people expect fast results, and when they do not see them immediately, they feel discouraged and stop practicing. But real progress does not usually happen all at once. It grows slowly. During your first week, you may finish your daily 15-minute practice and feel as if nothing has changed. That is completely normal. By the second week, you may begin to see small improvements. You catch a word that you missed before, or you understand a short phrase without replaying it. Then, by the third and fourth week, the difference becomes much more noticeable. You are not suddenly fluent, and you still will not understand everything. But you will realize that real English sounds clearer. Conversations feel easier to follow, and your confidence is growing. These small changes are proof that your daily practice is working. Here is your fifth listening tip. And although it seems simple, it can improve your English in many ways. After you finish your 15-minute listening practice, take a few minutes to write 3 to 5 simple sentences about what you just heard. Do not open a dictionary. Do not look at subtitles or the transcript. Just write the main ideas in your own English. Your sentences do not have to be perfect. The goal is to remember and explain the general message. This small habit helps you in 3 important ways. First, it shows you how much you really understood from the audio. Second, it gives you extra writing practice without needing a separate lesson. Third, it helps your brain remember what you listened to by organizing the information in your own words. This makes the lesson stay in your memory much longer. Every listening session becomes more meaningful because you are not only hearing English, you are understanding it and thinking about it. After 1 month of practicing every day, Rohan decided to test his progress. On a Friday evening, he went back to the same short English conversation he had used on his very first day. It was the same 2 people talking about their daily routine. This time, he listened from beginning to end without pausing or rewinding. When he finished, he realized he had understood much more than before. Later, he estimated that he had understood about 85%. compared to only 50% on the first day. The audio had not changed. The speakers were talking at the same speed, using the same words and the same pronunciation. The real change had happened inside Rohan. His ears had become stronger through daily practice. After listening for the third time, he sat quietly for a moment and smiled. It was not a big or dramatic celebration. It was a calm realization that 15 focused minutes every day for 1 month had made a real difference. Now I want to give you a simple 5-day listening plan that you can start this week. It is easy to follow and helps you build your listening skills step by step. You only need about 15 minutes each day. In the first day, find a 2-minute English conversation between 2 people. Use the 3-listen method. Listen once without stopping. Listen again while replaying the difficult parts. And then listen one final time from beginning to end. In day 2, listen to the same conversation again. This time, pay special attention to the words and phrases that were difficult on the first day. Replay those parts and see how much more you understand. In day 3, choose a new conversation that is just a little more challenging than the first one. Use the same 3-listen method and focus on understanding the main ideas. In day 4, pick one sentence from any audio you listened to this week. Practice shadowing by copying the speaker's pronunciation, rhythm, speed, and tone. Repeat the sentence many times until it feels smooth. In the last day 5, listen to both conversations from beginning to end without pausing. Then think about how much easier they feel compared with the first day. You will probably notice that your ears understand more, your brain works faster, and natural English sounds much clearer. These small improves are proof that daily practice is making a real difference. There is something wonderful that often happens after about 6 weeks of regular listening practice. I want you to know about it now, so you will recognize it when it happens. As your listening improves, your speaking also begins to change. The English phrases you have heard many times during your listening sessions start coming out naturally when you speak. You do not have to stop and remember them. They simply appear at the right moment because your brain has heard them again and again. This is one of the most natural ways to build vocabulary. Instead of memorizing long word lists, you learn words and expressions by hearing them in real conversations many times. Your ears become familiar with natural English, and your mouth begins to use the same language without much effort. In this way, listening does more than help you understand English. It also gives you real sentences, useful expressions, and natural speaking patterns that become part of your own English little by little. Here is something I want you to notice about your everyday life. You are surrounded by small opportunities to practice listening to English, and they cost nothing. You might hear an English song, a short video playing nearby, or an advertisement before a YouTube video. Most people ignore these moments without thinking, but each one can become a small chance to train your ears. You do not need to stop everything and study these sounds. Instead, simply choose to listen carefully for a few seconds. Pay attention to a word, a phrase, or the speaker's pronunciation before moving on. These moments may seem too small to matter, but they add up over time. When you build the habit of giving English your attention throughout the day, even for just a few seconds at a time, your ears become more familiar with natural English. These small moments, together with your daily 15-minute listening practice, help you improve faster than you might expect. Here is your 6th and final listening tip. This one is especially important if you always want to understand every single word. Many English learners feel uncomfortable when they miss something. They pause again and again, replay the same sentence many times, and refuse to continue until everything is perfectly clear. That is also a good thing. But when it comes to listening, trying to understand everything can actually slow your